You're watching West Wednesday 584, Justice for Tyrone West and Justice for All Victims of Police Brutality. Tawanda, it's all you.
Yes, thank you guys for tuning in tonight. And we have a real special guest tonight, and I'm going to bring her on immediately after the video. So stay tuned. It's her fight for accountability for her son. And it's just sad that nobody signs up for this club. And unfortunately, we're forced into something we never asked for. So please stay tuned for the video that we show you every time we're on live. Stay tuned, and we'll be right back. Mic check.
Won't stop. Till killer cops are in cell blocks. Can't stop.
The following video portrays an incident of assault and violence at the hands of police. Viewer discretion is advised.
I suggest you back the fuck up. No,
why would you do that? Why would you say that?
This is Baltimore City Police Officer Jorge Bernardes Ruiz. In a video shot in 2016, Ruiz is seen with his knee on the back of an unknown man with a gun pointed at the man's head. His message was a clear one: concerned onlookers, adhere to my dictates or else. Here, we can hear Ruiz saying to Baltimore residents,
I suggest you back the fuck up.
It is documented that Baltimore police officer Jorge Bernardes Ruiz is a repeat violent offender, even without access to all complaints against Ruiz, undisclosed by BPD Internal Affairs records. 6 cases involving Ruiz are known. This video will briefly highlight 6 total cases beginning in July of 2013. Case 1, Abdul Salam, July 1st, 2013. Here, Salam is seen victoriously smiling in celebration after the jury found Ruiz and 2 other cops liable for brutality against him. However, because the trial was civil, not criminal, Ruiz was not fired and he did not go to jail.
Police profiled me. They followed me in the back of my house, harassing me. Police proceeded to violently and hostilely approach my van with me and my son in it. As I announced, this was my home, guns drawn. Once they reached my vehicle, they violently pulled me out, ramshacked my vehicle with my 3-year-old son strapped in his car seat, threw me against the gate, slammed me repeatedly. Picked me up by my feet, and while I'm upside down, they proceeded to drop me on my head, hog-tie me, and immediately when I fell on my head, Ruiz, in a wrestling type of action, and kind of hit his knee against my neck. I was arrested. I had no idea what I was being arrested for. My son is scarred to this day. He remembers the incident as it happened yesterday. When he talks about it, he always refers to Daddy being on the floor with police yesterday.
Case 2, Darrell Harris, profiled, as seen in this video, July 17th, 2013.
Yeah, Sid, what's wrong with it? Improper way with it. There's no such thing as an improper way.
You gonna tell me my job, bro?
I know the law.
Are you gonna tell me the law?
I know the law.
You gonna tell me the law?
I know the law. What's the problem? You giving me a ticket? You need my license registration?
Yeah, let me get that.
Profile, y'all use the seatbelt as a reason. Profile.
Do me a favor, take out your keys.
Yeah, you can record me. For what? Nah. I don't feel safe right now. Do you want me to step out the car? Do you want me to step out the car? I'll step out the car. Call the police, man. What do you call a supervisor? I'm about to do shit. This is getting uploaded to the internet right now. Yeah?
And we are 2 law-abiding citizens that we are getting targeted, and I don't know why.
Just 24 hours later, Bernardes Ruiz played a leading role in the police killing of unarmed Tyrone West. Case number 3, the murder of Tyrone West, July 18th, 2013.
My brother Tyrone West was brutally murdered on July the 18th, 2013.
In both of these cases, when you look at the pleadings and the harsh language of these officers that have been quoted to me by reliable witnesses, the N-word.
And Killer Ruiz and Killer Chapman and the rest of those 11 to 15 killers, including David Lewis, took something from my family that they could never give us again. And that was my brother Tyrone West, one unarmed man who was brutally murdered, beat to death in broad daylight. Mic check. Yeah, so that video always does something to me every time I see it, because just knowing before my brother was brutally executed, you saw Darrell in his car. Literally, if they would have just placed those first two, Ruiz and Chapman, who pulled my Mercedes Benz over for no reason, just doing desk duty, I believe that my brother Tyrone West would still be alive. And the fact that I've been fighting for 584 weeks, 11 years, and we still have no accountability. But at the end of the day, accountability will come. I don't care how long it takes. I'm here for the fight. Just like I say, we're more than hashtags and body bags. And tonight, no further ado, I'm going to bring my beautiful sister who, unfortunately, I don't get honor out of meeting victims, family members, and hearing devastating, heartbreaking stories, because it breaks my heart. This is something, when you guys are sleeping at night, we can't get no rest. You know, our pain and trauma comes in spurts. One minute we might be happy, and the next minute, just as fast as we got a smile on our face, it's snatched completely off with just one thought of our loved one not being here or what happened to them. And it's devastating. But no further ado, I'm going to introduce, matter of fact, I'm going to have my beautiful queen, Miss Curran, introduce herself to you guys, and I want you to tell them who your loved one was. And I just remember, once you hear the name, it's going to ring bells to you guys, because I remember when we got together with the People's Coalition and we did a big protest in downtown Baltimore in support of her son. So the mic is all yours. Mic check.
First, I just want to say thank you to Wanda for allowing me to share my story about my son, Amir Locke. And once again, I'm happy that I was able to meet you and share hugs. Although we didn't want to meet this way, but unfortunately, since we have to meet this way, now we are bonded as one, and we will continue to fight to get justice for not only your brother, but my son as well. My name is Karen Wells. I am the mother of Amir Locke. My son, Amir Locke, was 22 years old. He was visiting his cousin. He was sleeping on the couch on 2222. Minneapolis SWAT PD went in around 6:48 a.m. during a no-knock warrant, searching for property, not a person. They were doing a no-knock warrant that had nothing to do with my son or any of the occupants that lived in the apartment. Upon entry, as they entered, my son was sleeping underneath the blanket. Within 9 seconds, my son was murdered and shot 5 times. My son, we truly don't believe that our son ever knew who was coming in. You know, like, it's 6:48 a.m. in the morning. So there's no way that Amir knew that those were officers coming into the apartment. So that's why I'm here today, and I will continue to be boots on the ground for my son.
No, I definitely appreciate that. And when I first saw that video, because everybody, like, the world was touched when we saw what happened to George Floyd, and then to turn around and see that, that was like devastating. It was heartbreaking in every which way. And then the fact that, your son's laying there and he's asleep. You're in the safest place. You're in your resident, or you're in a resident where you're getting sleep. And then to be waking up by such terror, like, that's anybody's worst nightmare. And my heart just extends for you and everything. And just meeting, I was glad that I got a chance to embrace and hug you in person. And you just don't know how far a hug goes. So, and it's just sad. And I just want to ask you, could you just tell us a little bit about your son? And I appreciate the beautiful baby pictures and his childhood pictures as he was coming up. Gorgeous, handsome young man. Like, oh my God, I'm just so sorry. But those pictures are amazing. So just thank you for sharing your son and sharing this space with us.
Well, I gave birth to Amir Ricari Locke on 11/11/99. He's my second born child, my second born son. And he was just a wonderful ray of light. I mean, even as a baby. Well, I will say I nicknamed him Tasmanian Devil when he was because he was just all over the place. He was like just doing everything. I mean, he was very wise beyond beyond his years. He was very respectful to any adult that he met, all the adults in the family. He was a protector. He did not like bullies when he was in school. He did not like bullies at all. He was the one that if you didn't want to play with someone, Amir would be that person that would step in and be like, well, I'll play with that person. That's how
Mhm.
Amir was. Amir was into, as he got older, he started doing music because his daddy was a local rapper, upcoming rapper in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So he got, the rapping skills, honestly. And when he started, it was like he was just like magical with it. He also created some songs, and also he started an LLC, which is called Saving the Youth. And so
Mm.
unfortunately, because of his murder, by the Minneapolis SWAT department, he will no longer be able to fulfill his Saving the Youth. But I am taking it over, and I will make sure that we save as many youth as we can, because that is something that my son talked about.
That is so beautiful. Like for him to be so young and just giving back to the community and trying to save the youth, that speaks some volumes alone. And it just seemed like when our loved ones get murdered, they're nobody to the animals that murder us. To these racist KKK, they're nobody to them, but they're everything to us. And I call them, they used to wear the white sheets and things of that nature. They replaced them with blue uniforms. Now they're the Blue Klux Klan. It's sad and it's heartbreaking and devastating, and it's and I just, like I said, my heart goes out because your son, I wouldn't wish this type of pain on anyone. So when I see any mother fighting for accountability, I know how it is to lose my brother, which he was like a father to me. He helped raise me. He ran all the boys away from me. Like he was there and everything. And I literally wanted to die. Like I did, like a big piece of me passed away with my brother when he was murdered. Like people will never understand that. Like, and I knew that once I got up off the floor from passing out, once it came to the light that that was my brother, that my bad feeling that I knew something wasn't right came to pass. I got back up off that floor and I knew that I had work to do. I didn't know what way to, that type of pain, it makes you test your faith in God as it did for me. Like I'm like, God, question God, like, God, why? Like how, like he wasn't perfect. I'm not perfect, but we went to church together. Like he was doing stuff for the community. He always was the family guy. He was always the one to break up fights, and he never was a troublemaker and all this. And why would my brother be snatched in such a violent way, But I just believe that our loved ones are leading the way. They're our angels and they're going to make big change. And then they chose us. We didn't sign up for this horrible nightmare, but we were chosen to do this, you know? And it's just sad and unfortunate. But I noticed that he has two documentaries out. You want to talk about those documentaries?
Yes. So the first documentary, titled Sound of the Police, came out in August of 2023, as well as the documentary that my brother-in-law produced, which is titled No Knock, No Charge, The Amir Locke Story. So with the Sound of the Police, they both actually came out on the exact same day in August of
Mhm.
2023, and it was not planned. So the Sound of the Police is showing right now on Hulu. And it basically talks about how the policing started from the slave patrol and how it goes all the way up to 2022 and how we are still dealing with modern day slave. It's modern day slave patrol right now. So they're
Absolutely.
still using the same type of how policing as
Mhm.
when they were doing it back in slavery. So then you're going to see like just like some footage of Amir's funeral and just different people that have also lost their loved ones to the hands of the police. Now, as far as the no knock, no charge Amir Locke story, this documentary basically is showing the body cam footage. So
Mm.
we're actually allowing the police officers to tell the story and tell how they murdered my son.
Mm.
And then we're just followed for a year. My brother-in-law, he followed us, myself and his father, Andre Locke Sr., for the entire year after Amir was murdered. So we have been boots on the ground from day one since we got that fatal phone call. And we have been nonstop.
Wow. And is
So
there any way we could see the second video? Because I know you said on hold of the first one, and I'm definitely gonna make sure I watch that tonight, even though it's heartbreaking. But I didn't even know that I saw what you sent me, and I'm like, wait a minute, why didn't I know about this? Like I would have been shared it and everything. So wow.
So the one documentary, which is titled "No Knock, No Charge," the Amir Locke story. Right now, we're dealing with distribution, but so we've shown it at it was showed at the Pan African American Film Festival.
Okay.
And then it's been like showed around like at different universities. Right now, we would have to just like if someone wants to see the documentary, we really want to show it like at the universities.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
And so basically, like if people put in a request to see it, like we're taking notes and then we'll try to get it. Like it was showed at, it's just been, it's been 2 years and
Mhm.
it's a lot. So I can't even remember the dates. Like normally I'm good with dates, but
Mhm.
I will definitely make sure that once we're able to show it and once, we get the distribution deal,
No, absolutely. No, it's no
we'll
rush,
be
no
able to, like,
worries.
yes, then we'll be able to let everybody know like we're gonna show it at.
Okay, well, cool. But I'll definitely check the one on Hula out. And I urge everybody that's watching this right now, please watch and support. And then I wanted to know, says like, in what other ways can we support you? Like for doing a tremendous job and that you're doing that you didn't sign up. Like, is any other ways that we can support you?
Well, we actually got no knock warrants restricted in
Yes.
Minnesota. Governor Walsh actually signed it into law, signed the bill into law. It was in May of 2023. So
Nice.
we got that passed. We're still we're just still out here. We just still need the support. Right now, we're still working on getting the officer charged.
Mhm.
I mean, my son was asleep like that. My son will not become a casualty. He's not going to be just like another kill on your belt. That's
Mm-hmm.
not, I don't want my son should not be a hashtag. My
That's
son
right.
should be here. So we all just need to keep fighting. That's just what we have to do. We have to support the families. We have to come out for the families. We have to make sure that we stand by the families, stand with the families, keep sharing the stories, let people know that this is still going on. This is not stopped. Like you would have thought that after George Floyd, they would have got the message in
That
Minnesota,
part.
but obviously
Mhm.
they did not because several more people came after George Floyd.
And
So
that's
it's like we thought you got the message. The world stood together and spoke,
mhm.
but then yet 2 years later, Amir Locke, Howard Johnson, Tekle Sundberg,
Mhm.
you know, the list goes on. Kobe Heisler. Like I'm talking about loved ones that have been murdered by the police in Minnesota. This is after George Floyd.
Yes.
There's like over 500 murders by the police in the state of Minnesota.
Yeah, that's devastating.
They were hit with 2 decrees. There was a decree from the Department of Department of Human Rights. Then they also got hit on the federal level. But yet, after that, here comes Ricky Cobb. So they're not learning their lesson. Then there was Brandon Keys. They're just not, they're not going to stop. So we just need to continue to fight together. And as I said before, we are all powerful in numbers.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I wanted to take a moment real quick because I see the boards are lit up with like questions and comments. So I wanted to know, Uncle Bill, are you able to read the questions or comments? Or do we have anybody in queue tonight that can read the questions or comments? Mic check.
I can read them. I don't know if Kalia's here or not.
Okay, that'll be awesome.
First, we have from Hillary Robbins, mic check. I'm sorry, Hillary back. From Bruce, we have justice for Tyrone West. From Bruce again, mic check. From me, mic check. From Judah, mic check. And then I wrote a note, what a tremendous loss. Wise, kind, and a protector when the police stole Amir's life. And then another note that I sent, big congrats on stopping the no-knock warrants. And from Hillary, thank you for sharing your story and your work. So those are the comments so far. Mic check.
Mic check. Thank you so much for that. Yes, it's just like that is just sad. And I'm just like you said, your mind just goes blank when you think that they should get the message when they don't. It's just disgusting. And that's why, like in my case and with my brother, so he was beat to death in Baltimore before Freddie Gray. And it's just like until stuff get tore up, they don't hear our voices. It's just sad. But we're out here. We're not causing any troubles. We just want accountability. And we're gonna keep on, like you said, coming in numbers, doing what we gotta do, and fighting this ugly fight that we never signed up for. We definitely just gonna keep fighting.
Yes, and and one thing that I always tell other families is my voice is powerful because I am his mother. And even if you feel like you're alone and you don't have anybody else, you can make a sign and go right to the nearest corner and stand there and yell your baby's name, and it will resonate. So never think that you're alone, because there's always somebody out here who is going to say your baby's name for you when you don't have the strength to do it. And we've been, like I said, me and his father, from day one, we have been boots on the ground nonstop, and we are not going to go anywhere. We're not going to stop. We're not going to be quiet. We're not going to let in. We're not going to let up. We're just going to keep on moving until Amir gets all forms of justice.
Absolutely. And I just commend y'all's strength. And I'm just sorry, you would be shocked. I'm totally shocked that nobody has been charged yet. Like you got the body camera footage. You see, he had he was registered at Christ, so it wasn't like, okay, you can say, oh well, he had, a illegal weapon, which it still didn't matter. But at the same time, everything is going right on your side. Like you got the videos of them, you got all this stuff, but yet nobody's been charged. It's disgusting.
Well, it's the same story with all of our loved ones. They fear for their life. I fear that I'm in imminent danger. No, Amir Ricari Locke feared for his life when you came into that apartment at 6:48 a.m. in the wee hours of the morning. And my son is a deep sleeper. And not only did they enter in without knocking, but you kicked the couch where my son laid his head underneath the blanket. You kicked the couch twice. An officer kicked the couch twice, which means that you knew that there was somebody laying there on that couch as soon as you entered into that apartment. And you were looking for property, not a person. So they should have never, ever had to have a warrant signed off to look for property and not a person.
Mm-hmm.
We all know that when the SWAT shows up, they're taking out a body.
And that's what they want to do.
Yeah. They never leave with, well, but but unless the person does not have melanin, and when the person doesn't look like my son, your brother, that's when they take them in, and they can shoot at them as well, and they still take them in, and probably stop off at Burger King and get them something to eat.
That's the truth. And I was just sharing my disgust, where we had a Caucasian guy that literally shot 2 police officers, one in the face, took the other one's patrol car, hid out in a Burger King's parking lot for hours. And the way they presented the story on the news, as if they were talking about a love story, and they're like, oh my goodness, we hope that he's okay. When have you ever heard them wondering about if a suspect was okay after they done shot 2 police officers? And he had an AKA assault rifle while doing the first one. So like, arm shooting, going crazy, but yet he didn't come out the bushes with a scratch, nothing. And they were concerned. They was like, he don't have a jacket, and it rained overnight and it's cold. Like, are you freaking kidding me? But that's just like a smack in our face to just let us know over and over again that they don't care anything about us because of our racism is just real. It's out there. Like, this has been going over 400 plus years. And like you said, and I'm glad the documentary, and that's why I can't wait to watch it. It makes the connection from, the slave catchers and all that. That's what we got to realize. This is history repeating itself. And it's fine. This is all the stuff when the Casual Killing Act, when slaves were trying to escape, and they said, oh, well, we can kill them if they resist, type of thing. Like, what? And it's just sad. And then, like you said, with all they gotta say is I fear for my life, when you got firefighters that can actually go into burning buildings. They don't know if they're ever going to see their family again. Stuff is falling down at them. Could those firefighters go sit on the curb while a house and a family, God forbid, is burning down, and then let them burn up and everything go up in smoke, and then their commander and staff come around and say, hey, why are you guys sitting right here? And they, oh, we fear for our life. Stuff was falling. What would happen to those firefighters? They would be fired, prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. So why is it that police officers can just say, I fear for my life? It goes back to the slave catching. That's what they do.
And actually, you cannot say you feel feared for your life when you chose to sign up to become SWAT. And not only that, but you want to continue to do no-knock warrants. You do not fear for your safety if you want to go in. And like I've said before, to me, in my opinion, no-knock warrants are illegal break-ins. They made it legal for these racist officers who are hiding behind a badge and a gun to go in and terrorize and murder our loved ones.
Yep.
And enough is enough. We're tired of it. We're tired of it.
Yep.
There was just one. Cameron Ford was just murdered by a police officer in Omaha, Nebraska. Then my son, Amir Locke, Minneapolis, Minnesota. Then you have Breonna Taylor in Kentucky. Then you have Aiyana Jones. No one remembers that. They should understand that Aiyana Jones is a 7-year-old baby.
7-year-old baby. I met her grandmother, and may she rest in peace. I met the
grandmother underneath her favorite blanket. They had during a no-knock warrant. So when I was upset and livid when I first heard and knew about her story, I would have never thought that years later I would be mourning my baby the same way that they murdered her in her sleep. And so no-knock warrants should be banned across the United States. I don't want to hear, oh, we don't use them we don't use them. Okay, but you don't need them at all. Like, knock on the door. I'm sorry. Knock on the door. Don't stop doing no-knock warrants. They don't work. And then we have to be a part of a fraternity that we don't want to be a part of.
Yep.
My son should be here. He was 22 years old. He had just turned 22 November 11th. And he didn't even get to be 22 for a full year. They stole his life from him. So I'm not, enough is enough. It doesn't work. I don't want to hear it anymore. I don't want to hear about, they work for but actually they do work. They work for the officers, but they don't work for our loved ones. They didn't work on 2222 for Amir. Amir should still be here. And they should have been able to, there was no de-escalation. They don't use de-escalation. They went from 0 to 100 when it came to my son. In 9 seconds. They didn't give him a chance to wake up. They didn't give him a chance to identify himself. They didn't give him a chance to do anything. 9 seconds and he's gone. And I'm here and I don't want to be here.
That part is sickening. And again, I just feel like America gives them the tools to just wipe us out and gives us bull crap excuses. And that's why I feel as though we need to knock this dirty system down and build it back up. There's no other way. Like, we can have the conversation all night, and no, I'm not trying to excite anything. I'm just speaking truth to knowledge and knowledge to power. Enough is enough. Like, how many of our loved ones got to be buried? And like you said, they know what they're doing. It's intentionally. They know exactly what they're doing. They kill who they want to kill, and they keep on making up excuses. And we're just supposed to just sit back and just do stuff like we're doing. No, we need to knock this whole entire system down. It's a capitalist, racist system that don't care anything about us. Nothing about us. It feeds off of racism. It feeds off of money, like off of objects. Objects have more value than our loved one's life. Like, I remember being at a table that I never asked to be at when we were going through litigation. I had to take my name off of my brother's case because they wanted to offer a family that had a dog that was killed by the police $1.5 million, and more than what they offered for my family for a man that you murdered, an unmanned murder that you killed. You killed him. You murdered my brother for no reason whatsoever. You tortured one unarmed man. And then in this town, they have the medical examiner's office, David Fowler, covering up. He should be charged with murder. He cover up to get the police off. He always blamed. He had the nerve to go in George Floyd case and say, oh, Derek Chauvin, didn't kill George Floyd. He had all these flames that he smelled, like everything. He inhaled carbon monoxide, all this foolishness, as if we're idiots. They will create stuff. They will make up stuff right in our face, and we supposed to sit back and play the fool and don't believe our lying eyes. Like, we just supposed to just roll with it. No, enough is enough. Like, I'm sick of this dirty system. Just like in my sister case, Timothy Fleming's a man in his own house having a mental episode crisis, where as though he could have just been taken to the hospital to get treated, anything, and they murdered him in cold blood with his children right there, with his wife right there. They're sick animals. It's disgusting. And I really feel sorry for the one or two good officers that it's not about that lifestyle, about seeing somebody get murdered that's just really going to work and trying to make a difference and take care of their family. But if you sit there and you watch somebody being murdered and you don't say nothing, that makes them just as guilty. That makes their blood is on the victim's blood is on all of their hands, the ones that don't step up and do the right thing. But for the one or two that does step up and do the right thing, kudos to them. But I feel like this whole system needs to be demolished, knocked in half, ripped apart.
And that's why the documentary, the No Knock, No Charge, Amir Locke's story, is going to, they're exposing the entire system. And also, as families, we have to make sure that we make sure that the media reports the truth, because when they first murder our loved ones, the first thing they're going to show is just what they want to show. They're going to pick out a piece of a video and they're going to just show that to make it look like it was justified.
Absolutely.
But it's up to us as a family to get out and speak and let the entire public know that, no, this is what happened to my son, because they set it up that Amir was a homicide suspect. Amir was on the couch waiting for the
Mm-hmm.
officers to come in. So that's what we heard when I first got the phone call from his father. And we both were like, wait a minute. We know our children, but we don't believe that. And so once we saw the body, when we saw that little body cam footage that they were getting ready to release, I was like, y'all murdered my baby. He did not do what y'all said he was doing. And I know my son. Now, there's no way my son, and like I tell people, because, when they go from infant to toddler to grade school to junior high to high school to getting ready to get their license, oh, it's a target on their back now. You're not the cute little African-American little child that they once would stop and say hi to. My sons have both been stopped by police officers, but they made it back home. So it's a slap in the face that you stopped my son when he was driving while Black and he made it back home. But then while my son was sleeping while Black, he was murdered. I'm not taking this L. I'm not taking it. I'm not taking this L at all, because we had conversations on how to make sure you get back home when you are approached by a police officer and they knew what to do. But then we never had the conversation that we would ever have to think that we would have to tell Amir how to get out of a situation while sleeping on a couch.
That's crazy.
Approaches you and comes in the room.
Yeah.
So the playing field is not even, and it's not right. It's not right at all. And we're sick and tired. I know I'm tired, and I'm going to make sure that you're going to continue to see my face and hear my voice. I'm not going anywhere. I have a granddaughter that I have to make sure that she's not marching in the streets 20 years from now. I have an older son. They should not have to be dealing with this stuff in the next 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. So that's we're going to continue to be boots on the ground until I take my last breath and cross over with my baby. Because what they failed to realize is they took the Lamb of God, and now you messed up, because my son was very spiritual. So y'all messed up now. So now the same way that y'all snuck in and moved silently on my baby is the way that this family moves. We move in silence.
That part. And I agree with you. I definitely agree with you, because then I felt everything you felt, and that's how I've been rolling for 11 years, going on 12 now. I've been rolling just like that. Like when they put a narrative out, oh, Mr. West didn't want to go back to jail because he was on parole. But like, get out my face with the foolishness. So when they did that little news press conference the very next day, I was outside the courthouse and I did my news press conference from the homework I gravitated around. And that was finding up dirt on those officers that murdered my loved one. Like, you got Ruiz, he's riding around on suspended license. You're breaking the law, sir. You ain't even supposed to be driving a patrol car, but yet you're pulling over my unarmed brother for no reason. Like, I did the research, I put all of it, and I told him, fact check me. Go check out what I'm saying. You can see it for yourself. Like, I'm telling you, boots on the ground nonstop. And while I can't spend time with my loved one, I'm spending it all up in their face. I'm spending it on vacation. And like you said, we wasn't even on vacation when we was in Oakland. Right now, I'm taking my vacation while I'm at home. That was business. This is vacation where I can sit and try to unwind. And even still with this, I'm not even, to be honest, my queen, I'm not going to be able to take a real vacation until my brother killers are in cell blocks, all 17 of those murders. The day that happens is the day I'll take a big vacation where I'm flying and I'm doing me and I'm really enjoying myself, because I'm not really enjoying myself. There's no enjoyment out of a life that we never asked for. You know, we would, like you said, we would trade this off any second. I wish I could bat my eyes and wake up and tell my big brother, oh my God, I had this big nightmare. And this is, we can't, but we're stuck here. And while I'm stuck here, we putting it all out there. Like, if I don't get anything out of this, like, we got a gag order done, passed for law in here in Maryland, because they tried to gag me. And I'm like, nope, take my name off. As hard as it was for me to take my name off of something that I was fighting hard for his beautiful children and grandchildren he never get a chance to meet. I'm like, nope, take my name off. I said, but just know that I ain't going nowhere. And I didn't go nowhere. And I came back with vengeance, and we got the gag order law passed. It wasn't just me. It was more, coalition groups, Juries for Justice, Not Without Black Women, Not Without Black Women, and, many other coalition groups together. And we had two people to sponsor the bill, and it got passed. But even with that, they still be trying to silence us. And the silence began as soon as your loved one get murdered and they pull a black sheet over the top of their heads. That's when the silence, they try to silence the families, because you have the attorneys that silence you and say, hey, don't talk about this right now. Let us hold it. It can ruin your case. They start, and I have to go over top my attorney's head like, look, in all due respect, I'm not going to say what the media don't know, because I don't want to blow my brother case. But whatever's public, I'm going to say it. I'm going to speak, and I'm going to keep my brother name alive. Our loved ones don't die until we bury their names, till we bury their stories, till we stop talking about them. That's when I believe the casket closes and tightens up, and then that's when it is. But no, you ain't burying. No, we ain't burying our loved ones like that. Nope, you got us messed up.
Yes, because in my son's situation, the officer is the one that had the complaints and has something. I'll say that's your police background. You have three complaints and one pending. Amir didn't even have a parking ticket on his name. So that's another thing that we always have to, the narrative when they first, like in the first 24 hours, they already putting out this false narrative about your loved one, just so they can make it seem like I said, the murder was justified. No, it's not. 9 times out of 10, the murders are not justified. So we're tired. Like, it's just not acceptable that, like I said, my baby was asleep. He was asleep. How do I get past this? That my son was sleeping and didn't get a chance to fully wake up, and for that, I will not stop. So just because my son can't sleep, they're not going to be able to sleep either.
That part.
That's just how it's going to be. Amir can't sleep. You can't sleep.
Absolutely.
And we, like I said, we just have to continue to just keep the stories out, and you make the media work for you. You make sure that the media, you tell them, okay, well, what about the officer? Like they were just like they showed the gun. They showed a gun when they first murdered Amir, and then it was like, wait a minute, but he was in possession of a legal firearm, so they took it down. Well, of course you took it down. Oh, I guess you thought that. Oh, here we have another young, African-American male, and it doesn't matter if you have a background or not. I mean, criminal background, they still do not deserve to be murdered. But in Amir's case, there was no background. There was nothing on it. So then you couldn't spin the narrative that the firearm was even not legal. It was. So now what? Now what are you going to do? The entire system is guilty as hell. The entire system is guilty as hell. They all work together. They all work together. You have officers that are involved in other murders in the Twin Cities, and I'm sure it's all across the United States, where you will have this one officer that was involved in another person's on the scene or involved in that murder, and then they turn around and it's almost like they're a roving gang. They're a roving gang. That's what they are.
And then they're all in the bed together. Like the first officer that I highlight, even though I highlight Ruiz, I want all 17 of them. The women, I had men, women, all animals on top of one unarmed man. But my whole point is they're in the bed together. Ruiz is married to a state's attorney, Michelle Battle, and we wonder why the state's attorney here in Baltimore City can't touch my brother case. That's why you can't touch it. It's a conflict of interest. It has nothing to do with nothing else besides Michelle Battle. It's disgusting. They all in the bed together.
I like that.
All in the bed together.
Yes, like I said, we have to continue. Like I said, since that day, we've done a lot. Like we've really done a lot, and that's what we need to do. And like I had gave respect to Gwen Carr, and when I told her that when I met her, the best words that she gave me was to show up for my son and even if I get tired, still show up. And there's going to be times where I don't want to go, but I have to go. And I took those words that she gave me and I ran with it. And, I respect so many people that have been in this movement and on this journey longer than me. And I look to them for their strength, and I look to them for their guidance, just to keep going and moving on, because until you have walked in my shoes, you don't know. This is a totally different type of grief. I've lost my mother 15 years, this month, and I'm still continuing to grieve my mother. But to lose my baby and to lose him to murder by the hands of the police, that comes with trauma, and it's a totally different type of pain. It's a pain that a Band-Aid will never be able to cover. A top surgeon will never be able to repair my heart. My heart is damaged. It's broken. And it doesn't even beat the same. Even after getting the phone call, I'm sure if you can go back and think about it, your heart, I had to touch my heart and actually ask myself, is my heart still beating? Because I felt it stop.
Wow.
So this is not easy for any of our families. And I don't want another family to deal with this, but no matter how many times we say that, it sounds good, but it's going to be another family.
It truly is. It's so sad. And that's the part that made me not just uplift my brother's name. It's all the victims, because it's like I said, it would have been one thing if once they killed my brother, if my brother was the sole sacrifice, which I wouldn't have liked it. I would have rather it been me and then besides my brother, but we can't pick and choose things. But if he was the sole sacrifice and nobody else got killed by the police, I might have could have lived with that. But the fact that there were people before him getting murdered and human beings after him getting murdered is very disgusting. It's very disgusting. I always bring up Anthony Anderson, who died a year before my brother. And the other victims. The only reason why I always highlight Anthony Anderson name, because you always hear about police brutality, but when I heard about him and my city, and then the way that media spent it, and they said that he induced drugs and he died from an overdose, and he was running from the police. I just felt bad for him, but I felt like that don't sound right, but I felt bad for him, and stuff like that. But then to go and meet that family and to go and meet Miss Gwen, and like you said, and Miss Gwen gave you words of courage. And if you guys don't know what we're talking about Eric Gardner's mother. And I remember after my brother was murdered, a year later, I found myself doing I took West Wednesday to New York City and did a big protest, met Miss Carr, met at the time it was Eric Gardner's daughter. May she rest in peace, because she was doing die-ins and all that stuff in New York. She was doing a whole lot, and she died. And it be to the point, it's so sad. And I hate to sound like a conspiracy theory, but it make you feel some type of way when you out here and everybody call me, they say I got a hot face, because they say my cousin, she always jokes, she said, oh my God, your hot face going with me, they gonna know who I am. But it resonates to the fact that it's not a good thing, because if they resonate you and you're at the wrong spot and somebody recognize you and you don't recognize them, and they out there thinking that, oh, you going against police officers. I'm not anti-police, I'm anti-police brutality. That's a big difference. But anything can go wrong. I just took my car in less than a month ago for an oil change, since the guy didn't change my oil. And it was a shop that I was frequently going to, but his son, who I never met, came, and I felt like when he went in my trunk and I keep protest signs, his whole demeanor changed. And I'm like, that, what if he was one of the person I knew, one of the cops that murdered my brother? And literally I almost lost my whole car. My car was drained, the oil was about to sound like it was about to blow up, and so much of stuff so much drained the fluids out my car, to the fact and it made me think I'm stupid, oh, your car was leaking oil. But I came here for a basic oil change and headlights. That's it. car running fine, smooth, everything. A headlights and an oil change, but we just got to be careful. That's my whole point. We have to be careful, but I'm not afraid of anything but the God I serve. So I'm gonna keep fighting and fighting. I don't care what they do. I'm gonna be here for the long haul.
And I am not anti police. I am not pro police. I am pro Amir Locke.
There you go. Can you say that one more time for the people in the back that didn't
I
hear you?
am not anti police. I am not pro police. I am pro Amir Locke.
That part. Yeah, so I'm gonna check back in real quick, Queen, to see because I see some more questions that popped up on the board. Uncle Bill, you mind reading those? Mic check.
Be glad to read them. I just have to figure out. I think I see the last comment. So Mitchell Mack sent a heart, excuse me, sent a heart, and then he said justice for Amir, and repeated again with five exclamation marks, justice for Amir. And then I wrote in response to one of your points, Tawanda, yes, this whole system definitely needs to be ripped apart. That's what must be done to put an end to racism and an end to capitalism. And those are the comments so far. Mike Chet.
Mic check. Awesome. Awesome. So I wanted to check in because I know earlier when we first tuned in, Nicole, she was there with her football team, and I wanted to see if she had a few words to share before we go into our sad list. So I'm gonna check in to see. Okay, I see her. Mic check.
Mike
Mike
Chet.
check. How y'all doing this evening? Um, I'm Nicole Pettiford. I am the daughter-in-law of Anthony Anderson and the mother of Ajay Harrod, who were both killed. Now, with me, I have been on both sides of the fence because my father-in-law was actually murdered by the Baltimore City Police Department. And then 2 weeks later, my daughter was set up by the Baltimore Police and she was murdered. But she was murdered by the hands of someone else, not by the actual police. But at the end of the day, my daughter was 16 years old. You are not supposed to question a minor without having an adult present. And they rendered her as a snitch. And that's what happened to my daughter. And while she lost her life. But I am always going to continue to fight this fight with y'all, whether my daughter was killed by the police or not. It's still sick, disgusting, and wrong. And I'm tired of this happening to my people. I'm tired of it. I would even be fighting with y'all if my daughter hadn't have been murdered. I still will be fighting for y'all. I love y'all, and I thank you so much, Tawanda, for always allowing me to be here with y'all and to speak about my loved ones and everything. Is I just don't know. Sometimes it just gets to be so tiresome. Sometimes I don't even want to get up out of the bed because I feel like, what is the purpose? What am I doing this for? It's not making a difference. But then I have to think about y'all strength. And I'm not the only one that's out here fighting this fight. Sometimes I do feel lonely, but I have to realize that I'm not alone. I am not alone in this fight. And I'm going to continue to fight. And thank you so much for allowing me to speak. Mike Jack.
Mic check. And thank you for speaking. So yeah. And Queen, I wanted to know if you wanted to say anything else before we go to the sad list.
I just want to say thank you to everybody that continues to say Amir's name and uplift our family with their prayers and their support. And to Wanda, like I said, I want to thank you. And I want to also thank you for being out there and being boots on the ground when you heard about my son's story when he was murdered by the Minneapolis SWAT PD. The only thing that I could say is like my 7-year-old granddaughter said one day. She said, I only have one thing to say. And we were like, what? She said, we boots on the ground.
That part. No, and I just want to thank you. And this is not our last conversation. It's not our, definitely not our last conversation. And we are now, like my sister Gina would say, we're blood sisters. So yes, that's what we are as of now. That's what we are. We're into this family. That we never asked for. So I just want to again thank you, and I want you to stay tuned and everything else because every week we read off And I don't know if because I know Brian, he normally does the homicide list, but I know he had something to do, and I don't know if Bill was going to take the tedious job of reading the list of homicides in the city. But so we might pick back up next week on that. But we always read all of the victims on a national level that we know about and things of that nature. So and it's just sad. And the police killings are getting worse every week. And I wanted to bring something too, and I want to ask you. I'm glad I remembered just now. But remember when the workshop we were in, and the guy that was educating us on police brutality, remember he was talking about, and I forgot where it was at, but he was talking about actual, I'm sorry, he was talking about actual badge bending. And if you don't know what badge bending is, yeah,
Yep.
badge bending is when they kill and shoot someone in this particular town. The police officer will have a barbecue, guys, and I'm not making this up, and I'm going to share those credentials because I took note and I took a picture of the screen. But they do something called badge bending, where they bend the tip of their badge for every murder that they do, and they have a barbecue. Do you remember where was that at again, sis?
I can't remember where it was actually at, but that's just an education to let people know that when they pull you over, look at their badge and see
Yes,
if
and that's scary. That's disgusting.
they have it bent.
Yep, and that's real. And this is the world we live in, and this is the world. That's why I said this system. If that's not a clear evidence that we need to tear this dirty the system down and build it back up, all boots on ground, knock it down. If that's not like, I mean, that's proof right there to the point. You're gonna brag about killing out the blood of our loved ones and bend your badge and be that damn bold and to come pull us over and then with this mentality, oh, I fear for my life, while you got all these bulletproof vests on, steel toe metal boots, all this protection, armor gear, taser, big Glock, all this stuff. Like, get out my face with the foolishness. Enough's enough. Enough's enough. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention, and I will bring where it was happening at. But like one person always told me, you might find something happening on one part of the world, but it spreads just like COVID. I remember they said COVID was happening just in China, and we didn't think it was going to hit over here. And a lot of our loved ones died when the pandemic happened, and people are still dying. People are still suffering from COVID as I'm speaking now. And this was a disease that we never, and I'll say it again, a disease that we never thought would take over our cities, our communities, and our world. So if it's at any part of the world, guess what? It's coming. It's like a movie, an upcoming movie. It's coming to a theater near you, a city near you. It's sad and disgusting. So if that badge bending, I don't care what part of the world it is, it's very alarming. You should be very afraid. And trust me, it's disgusting. But we have the power, and we need to show up at these events. Like my sister said, we need to support each other. And when we tell y'all stuff is happening, please believe us. Because I don't know if my sister Queen heard about all the frontliners that were in Ferguson that were killed, that were standing up for Michael Brown. They were lynched. I'm talking about one guy they found, like most of Darren Stills was found burning in his car. And so have several other activists that was big boots on ground before the Black Lives Matter came to there where Michael Brown and them was at and everything, but they were murdered. I can send you, like, I come with receipts, so I'm not making up nothing just to be like, ooh, what she talking about? I can show you what I'm talking about. And it's just sad, but believe us when we tell you, if they're doing something to us, believe us. That's why every time they show up at my door, I feel funny about something, I always put it on social media. Even if they block me, I'm gonna put it out there. Y'all gonna know what they doing, and it's not right. So please stick with us, and let's come up with a plan. Whereas though it's Amir's mom today, me today, but it could be you right this instant, and you ain't gotta wait till tomorrow. And before it hit your home, I wish that I met people like us before this happened to my brother, and I was well aware, and I even try to school my brother on, hey brother, if they pull you up in this car, make sure you have your ID available and ready. He had a nice demeanor. He knew, and that's why it broke my heart. Even though I warned him and he knew, and he had his hands out the window, he turned the console over in my vehicle and everything, and still was murdered. Still was pulled out by his beautiful dreadlocks. But the way you pulled him out and beat him, I'm going to give y'all a life lesson that you will never forget. You will never silence me. You will never run me away. And guess what? Even if I die, if I can come back and haunt the hell out of you guys, call me T the friendly ghost, because I'm going to be the unfriendly ghost. I'm telling you, and I believe in God. So let me just stop. Let me just stop right there, because it's just like enough's enough. And I wanted to see, Queen, if you wanted to say anything else before I actually tell you our non-disclosure and then go on to the sad list. Do you want to say anything else?
The only thing that I can say is they're only creating a bigger, like the more that you keep killing our loved ones, you're just making our group larger and bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not going anywhere.
That
And
part.
like I said, it's 2024. So we already know where the slave patrol was created. It was during slavery. Plan.
Yeah.
Police officers. We are now in 2024. Who do you think are still pulling us over? The Klan babies.
Yep.
Their relatives. They
Mm-hmm.
just traded in their white hoods and their white robes for a badge and a gun and the blue uniform.
That part.
And then we wonder, and also just to let everybody know, the system isn't broken. It's designed to do what it's supposed to do. And that's what it's been doing.
And that's what I always say, Queen, because
for us and to protect us. It was never
absolutely.
designed for us.
And I'm right. That's why I know you my blood sister for real, because I always say that, because something broke means that at one point it was operating and functioning the way it should, and it never functioned for us. So it's never been broke. It's doing what it's supposed to do. And that's wipe us all out. They don't even see us as 3/4 of a man, as human. They don't even see us as a human being. So yeah, so I'm right there with you, my queen. Definitely.
All laws can also be made to be changed. Remember that. So when we say we're boots on the ground, we're coming for your laws too. Because just like y'all created laws for y'all selves, we're going to create laws for us.
Can you say that loud one more time for the people in the back?
I mean, basically, laws are made to be changed. And just like the laws that they created for themselves, we are now going to make sure that we have laws that are created for us. And my children, my son and his daughter. That's what we're looking at for our generations that are coming up behind us, to make sure that they are protected.
Absolutely. And that was well said, well presented, everything. Yeah. So y'all see my sister, she got flame. I'm glad I don't have a microphone, because it would be on fire right now. I would just have to leave it drop down on the ground, on the floor. But yeah, definitely wanted to thank you, my queen. And also I wanted to let everybody know that as we this week, starting Friday, it's going to be Morgan State University homecoming. And every time I think about Morgan State University, it's sad, and that's a black college. I have to think about how David Keller Lewis played a crucial role. He was from Morgan State University until we ran him up out of Baltimore to the Capitol in Annapolis. But I'm coming for you at the Capitol, sir. You're not going to escape me. The same way when you put your little, when you was doing your little off-duty policing at IHOP and your off-duty policing at the movie theater, and I showed up and I asked your employee and your employer, did they know that they had a killer working for them and made it hot for you? I'm going to make it hot in Annapolis. So I'm coming for you, baby. And I just wanted to make everybody aware too that my cousin Neil, he's going to be speaking out in many places and spots, because he's dealing with a situation with prostate cancer, and he's fighting. He just had the surgery. He's doing awesome and amazing. But the biggest part, he wants to educate people. So he's going to be in several locations along with Morgan State University students, just to kind of give back, and just big kudos and much love to my cousin. So I don't have the paper in front of me that I normally read, but I'm just going to come from my heart. We're going to read a list off tonight. It might be two, it might just be one, but we're not trying to intentionally upset or traumatize anybody. We don't have any details about any of the cases that or the names that you will hear tonight. We have none. All we know is it was a human being murdered by the police. There was someone murdered in Baltimore City, here in my own city. So, but having details and facts about the case, unfortunately, we don't have any. But we do believe in peace. We believe in mediation. So if you have a problem or dispute, I'd rather you sat down at a table and talk about it where two people can walk away from it than to leave somebody laying dead on the street. Because guess what? When you kill somebody, you're killing a family. When you kill, whether you're a police officer or whether you're somebody on the street, when you murder somebody, murder is the most devastating, heartbreaking thing. It's not an act of God. It's not a car accident. And we can't even deal with car accidents. We can't even deal with acts of God that's traumatizing and we need to go to counseling. But murder is a whole nother ugly, evil entity that I don't wish on anybody. So at the end of the day, we only advocate peace and we only advocate love. And I always say, live to love to live. So we're going to take 2 minutes right now. The time looks to be 8:08. If I'm looking at that correctly, I'm a little blind, y'all. Work with me, but let me get the correct time. I think it's no, it's wait a minute, hold up. Give me 1 second.
8:06.
Thank you. All right, let me correction. It's so we'll come back at 8:08. I knew the 8 was coming somewhere any old way. So at 8:08, we will resume and we will read the list. Mic check.
Mic check.
All right, guys. Thank you. The time now is 8:08. I see it crystal clear. So I'll hand it all over to Uncle Bill. Mic check.
Mic check. I'll be reading the names of people recently killed by the police around the country, and if we could repeat the names to uphold them, that would be very good. And I'll just say before I start, Karen, I've always had deep admiration for Tawana, and now I have deep admiration for you as well. Appreciate your hard work for your son. We're covering deaths from police violence that started on September the 16th, going through September the 20th. So we're talking about 5 days, and during those 5 days, they stole 17 lives. The first was in Russell Springs, Kentucky. As I said, on the 16th of last month, 41 years old, Joshua Arnold.
Joshua Arnold.
Second, on the same date in North Hollywood, California, 37 years old, Sean Griffin.
Sean Griffin.
Again, on the 16th in Memphis, Tennessee, 26 years old, Tremaine French.
Tremaine
French.
Yet again on the 16th in Fort Wayne, Indiana, 59 years old, Samuel Caston.
Samuel Caston.
We're still on the 16th in Des Moines, Iowa, 37 years old, Joshua Green.
Joshua Green.
Once again on the 16th in Reston, Virginia, and this is a woman, 33 years old, Sydney Wilson.
Sydney Wilson.
last killing by the police on the 16th in Olive Branch. MS is Mississippi, is that correct?
Missouri, I think.
Okay,
I think
thank
it's
you.
Missouri.
All right, appreciate that. 68 years old, Mark Miller.
Mark
Miller.
Moving to the 17th in Marrero, Louisiana, 55 years old, Stephen Pfeiffer.
Stephen
Pfeiffer.
Now on the 18th in Woodbury, New York, 28 years old, Ali.
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 Again on the 18th in Bridgeport, Texas, 65 years old, Elvin Fox.
Elvin Fox.
On the 19th in West Haven, Connecticut, 36 years old, Jabrell Conley.
Jabrell Conley.
San Antonio, Texas, again on the 19th, 34 years old, Roberto Gonzalez.
Roberto Gonzalez.
Dream, is that you I'm hearing?
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm glad you're with us. On the 20th, in Dalton, Georgia, 32 years old, Alicio. I'm sorry, it's a hyphenated name. It's a little long. Alicio Mayorga Rangel.
Alicio Mayorga Rangel.
Again on the 20th in Yuma, Arizona, 34 years old, James Spow.
James Spow.
In Massapequa, New York, again on the 20th, 37 years old, Jeremy Bennett.
Jeremy Bennett.
On the, once again, the 20th, Las Vegas, Nevada, 42 years old, Kyle Norris.
Kyle
Norris.
And finally, the last stolen life that we're upholding this evening was in Christiansburg, Virginia. Again on the 20th, 31 years old, Ronald Truskowski.
Ronald
Truskowski.
And that concludes a list which should have nobody on it. And we're fighting for a world where there will be nobody on these lists. Mic check.
Mic check. And I'm so glad to see my brother Marcus' face. Hey, brother, I missed you. How you been? Good to see you. Good to see you. Yeah.
That's all.
So as I mentioned my queen earlier, remember I said it was a young man that got killed before my brother named Anthony Anderson, and how it touched me. This is his twin son. Because looking at him, you see in Anthony Anderson. So before we wrap all the way up, my brother, would you like to say anything real quick before we close out with our video? Mic check.
Sure. My father, Anthony Anderson, if you guys don't know anything about him, I'm going to speak briefly about it. My father, Anthony Anderson, was killed and beat to death by the Baltimore City Police Department back in 2012. To know him was to know someone that was full of life, somebody that will give you the shirt off the back, had a heart full of gold. You know, I think that's just with anybody, just don't test him. You know, he was there for everybody that needed him, with any and everything. If he had it, you had it. You know, that day I was at work and I got the phone call from my baby sister, explaining that, you know, he was killed. She was like, "Daddy gone, Daddy gone." I said, "What you mean? What you mean he gone?" I'm thinking they might have arrested him, or like he just up and left Baltimore. But she like, "No, the police, they killed him. They killed him." I said, "What?" I couldn't even bear the news. I had to leave work early because I just couldn't get myself together. So my managers, they was like, "Look, just go and go home. You know, deal with that situation." I rushed straight down there, and by the time I got down there, the police was still there, and it took me at least an hour to get there. So the ambulance had just pulled off with him. So I found out later on that they tried to get them to administer Narcan to him to try to cover themselves up, saying that it was a drug overdose. But they didn't find no drug in his system. They didn't find no drugs on his person or anything like that. We were getting ready for my then 2-year-old niece's birthday party. I think the next day, that weekend. But her birth date is her grandfather's death date.
Terrible.
So she has to remember that. She remembers it vaguely if we kind of remind her a little bit, but I'm just glad she was at that age where she doesn't know too much.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, all of this happened in front of my grandmother. It happened in front of my siblings, and it happened in front of some the friends of the family. And they even cussed at my grandmother, and she was trying to figure out what was going on. Like, what are you doing to my son? What are you doing to my son? They said, bitch, you better step back before this happened to you. So he, due to their encounter, he had a ruptured spleen, 6 broken ribs, and head and neck trauma. So they try to say that it was a drug overdose, but the medical examiners deemed it a homicide right away. So prosecutor Greg Bernstein at the time, he laughed in my family face, said, "I'm not prosecuting my officers." And I almost went to jail that day because I jumped across that desk. And I was going to strangle that man. I promise you. I was that pissed off. I cussed the whole office out. So they never, like I said, they never charged him or anything like that. So we were left with a hole in our hearts for my father. So at the end of the day, I just been doing what I can. I can't always be a part of everything because I have a football team to run and stuff like that, and and a lot of times I be at work. As soon as I get off, I gotta go right to practice. I'll be late to practice sometimes. So, but my heart is always here with you guys. Continue the good fight. You guys will continue to be in my prayers. I hope it's likewise. And like I said, no justice, no peace.
No justice, no peace. Thank you so much, my brother. Definitely miss seeing you. And no matter if
Absolutely.
you physically here, you always here. Like I take you every which way
Absolutely.
I go, so it don't even matter if you. I know that you holding it down for the youth in the city and just everything. And
Absolutely.
he gives back, like to actually lose his father in such a tragic way, and then to start a football team. And to get back to older
Yeah.
young men, like that is beyond like powerful.
Yeah.
So much love and much respect, my brother. And
Absolutely.
much love, my queen. Thank you for coming on tonight and sharing Amir Locke's story with us. And like my brother just so eloquently said, I couldn't even said it no better. No justice, no peace.
No justice, no peace.
No peace. Yeah, we
Absolutely.
can't stop. We won't
No
stop
justice,
until
no
Killer
peace.
Cop. Yes, no justice, no peace. And we can't stop. We won't stop until Killer Cops and Cell Block.
Cell blocks.
We're more than, and remember this, we're more than
More than
hashtags
tags and
and
body
body
bags.
bags. We're more than being 6 feet in the dirt and pictures and buttons on t-shirts. Our lives matter. It may not matter to the ones that
Like, boy.
killed our loved ones, but it matters to us. That's why we boots on the ground forever. Until we see our loved ones again, until I make that march to heaven, boots on the ground for life, baby. So the
Absolutely.
same way that we brought you guys in with a video, we're gonna take you guys out with that video. Remember, live to love, love to live, and we will see you guys next West Wednesday. And hold on, my queen, in the green booth while we play the video. But we're gonna end this program after we play the video. Mic check.
Mike check.
Mike.
And Mr. West begging for his life, and Mr. Salam begging for his child to be excluded and comforted from what was taking place. Not for himself, but for his 3-year-old child.
Case number 4, Adina Britt and family, September 10th, 2015.
My name is Adina Britt, and I wanted to submit a 30-second testimonial that Jorge Omar Bernardez Ruiz is one of the 11 terrorists that came into my house performing a home invasion in September 2015, terrorizing my entire family and even holding my 12-year-old son at gunpoint. He needs to be stopped.
Case number 5, unidentified arrestee, assaulted in 2016.
I suggest you back the fuck up. No, why you
Again, this video did not surface until the summer of 2020. Case 6, Thomas McCullough, May 2016 and February 2017.
I heard my front door coming off the hinges like it exploded.
Thomas McCullough says it happened twice. In May 2016 and February 2017, Baltimore City Police burst through his green front door and raided his Pimlico home.
They said, police. They come up, shotguns, guns.
He says officers ransacked the place, looking for drugs, money, and weapons. He took pictures of the damage he says they left behind.
Tell us where the drugs are, the scales, the guns, and the large amounts of money.
Nothing was found. Now he's suing police, claiming officers, including a former member of the Gun Trace Task Force, frightened him, his wife, and father-in-law when the officers conducted what his suit calls an illegal search of his home. The owner of the house tells 11 News after the second raid, he had to replace the front door. McCullough and his attorney say they want Baltimore police held accountable.
There is a colossal breach of trust.
And McCullough tells us following both raids, no one was arrested or charged.
This all begs the question, when will Baltimore City State's attorney see the prosecution of Bernardes Ruiz as warranted?
They were the stopping officers in these so-called jump-out cars, unmarked and so forth, that stopped both the West vehicle and the Salam vehicle without probable cause. And these officers are the ones that also were joined by others, but they are the ones who initiated the stops, pulled both men out of the vehicles, and commenced the vicious activity that was thrust upon them.
And the officer Ruiz that started this attack is still working and working with promotions. He is now sergeant. But the fact that this repeat violent offender had a history leading up to my brother. There was Darrell Harris, there was James Green, Joseph Green, Abdul Salam. No one family deserves to be brutally murdered or brutalized by this repeat violent offender Ruiz. It is time we take action. The time is now.
Baltimore police officer Jorge Bernardes Ruiz is a repeat violent offender. Based on these accounts, in accordance with the law, we, the West Coalition, call for him to be fired, prosecuted, and incarcerated.
We're more than hashtags and body bags. We're more than being 6 feet in the dirt and pictures and buttons on t-shirts. Our lives matter.
For the safety of our city, the prevention of further harm, and the justice for these families, we see no other option.
And again, I'll say, the time is now.